wanted to get my hands on bone conducting headphones just to see what they're all about. These are the very first set of bone conducting headphones that I'm reviewing, and a big thank you to the folk at Lenovo family for making this review possible by sending me a demo unit. All thoughts and opinions are my own. So let's jump straight into how the X3 Pro is built. The unboxing experience of these isn't exactly glamorous, but it's simple and to the point. You get the X3 Pro headphones, user manual and a charging cable in the box. The cable provided is a USB-A to micro USB, which some people might find to be a little dated, but I still have some products with this port, so it's easy enough to charge up from my dock. Moving on to the X3 Pro. I like that they've gone the matte finish route. It holds up to looking and feeling better to the touch in the long run compared to anything glossy. It has the Lenovo branding on the right transducer, and if you follow the ear loop, you'll see the control pod which has tactile buttons, which is always a nice welcome since I prefer them over touch interactions. There's an opening here which I presume is for the microphone, and there's a small LED light here to let you know what it's up to when you want to connect to it. Below it is a flap for the micro USB port for when you want to charge it up. The band that goes around your head or neck is a flexible one and ensures a level of firmness despite looking small. This firmness does contribute towards a more secure feeling. It's quite unlikely that these will fall off your head while using them for any physically demanding activities. Then when you move on to the other side, you get the Think Plus branding and the left transducer here. The sections that are going to be resting on your jawbone are soft to the touch and comfortable to have sitting on your skin. It's a little grippy, so will likely not slide around. These happen to have an IP56 rating, so are perfect for outdoor or indoor workout sessions without the stress of something happening to them with sweat or splashes of water. On a feature front, this has Bluetooth version 5.3 and sadly does not have any app support, but this does check out because why would you want to be interacting with your phone when you're out on a workout? Thankfully, you can control everything you really need to via the control pod on the X3 Pro. The center button switches the device on and off with a 3-second press and hold. Triple striking the minus key will activate gaming mode, but don't keep it on all the time if you want to preserve battery life. Double striking the plus key will take you to the next song. Double striking the minus key will take you to the previous song. Pressing the plus key once increases the volume by a single increment. Pressing the minus key reduces the volume by a single increment. Long pressing the plus key activates your native voice assistant, and pressing the middle key answers and ends phone calls. If you do decide to use these headphones for gaming, these come in with a very respectable 90 millisecond response time when in their gaming mode. But if you'd prefer no response time or close to no response time at all, you're much better off using a wired set of earphones or headphones. These do not have active noise cancelling due to their open nature, but they do have a microphone for environmental noise cancelling if ever you want to take any phone call. So if you do want to see how this would perform for any phone calls if you're out on a run around a busy street, there's really only one way to find out.
So I'm calling from the usual busy street. I do a lot of these call tests from just to give you a sense of what this microphone is going to be battling with its environmental noise cancelling. And as you can see, there are a lot of four-wheelers, two-wheelers. You might get the occasional pressure horn from a truck going by, and there is some construction work going on over my left shoulder as well. So this has been a sense of the environment around me, and I'll switch over to the X3 Pro microphone right about now. So I don't exactly know how this is going to sound until I check this out in post, which is why you are sitting in the reviewer seat right now. You are in the best position to see how this performs in this kind of situation if you're out on a run or on a walk. Now, no doubt, this is the worst kind of situation that you're going to be faced with if you're going out on a run or a walk. And if you do go to a quiet park, or if you are planning on taking calls at home or in an office, it's not going to be battling this much of noise. So it's bound to perform that much better in a controlled environment. So I hope that this demo has given you a better understanding of this earphone, and I will see you back at the studio.
These are quite different when it comes to a listening experience, because I'm used to listening to a whole bunch of dynamic drivers, be it headphones or earphones, whereas these, while they rest on your jaw, you do tend to hear the music coming from them, and at the same time your ear canal is not blocked, so I can have normal conversations with people around me even when the music is playing, and it's quite surreal to be able to have the music coming to you while listening to all the surroundings around you. It doesn't work like transparency mode on any other earphone, because it's a more natural input, since you are listening to music from your jaw area here, and you can still hear the vocal tonality from people in a natural sense, because that sound is coming to you from your eardrum itself. So this is perfect for walks, especially if you want to have more of an awareness when you're walking or running on busy streets. So I'd say this is actually catered to a very different kind of person, because it's not targeting a person who wants to listen to heavy or loud music. This is a person who wants to listen to soft music, say in the distance, and they want to be more involved in their outdoor workout or indoor workout. It's not really for somebody who wants to block out the world. This is for somebody who wants to be able to have that soft music while they are being in their active situations. And it works pretty well because you are quite aware of your surroundings. In fact, I was sitting in my studio the other day when I was testing these out, and my wife called me from across the house, which normally I wouldn't be able to hear her if I was listening to a set of headphones or earphones, and I heard her really clearly. So in a situation like that, where you want to be aware of your surroundings, I'd say these are a much better option than having something that seals up your ear. So moving on to how this performs. This has a 16mm moving coil. It supports the SBC codec, and it has a frequency response of 20 Hz all the way up to 20,000 Hz. On a volume front, I have been listening to this between 40 and 50% in quiet environments, but when it does get a little noisy around me, I do take it up to about 70 to 80% volume. Now, I wouldn't recommend listening to this above 80% volume, because you can damage your hearing in the long run, and it also tends to get a little too shouty for me. And whenever you go a little above 80% volume, you can feel the transducers vibrating on your skin, which can feel a bit peculiar. Soundstage on this is a little wider than I expected it to be, because most earphones do sit within a bubble in your head, whereas this tends to sit a little ahead of your cheekbone. So it sounds like it's coming from your eyes, and it does have kind of a horizontal bubble effect in front of your eyes over here, and it comes a little wider. So it is a different experience altogether when it comes to its staging, but it does have a good center phantom channel and good left and right separation as well. On an imaging front, don't expect audiophile levels of detail recovery with these. It does pretty well for what it's built for. In fact, I wasn't expecting it to be as clear as it is because of how it's delivering music to your inner ear. The overall detail is good enough if you're into casual listening. I wouldn't recommend these for active listening or critical listening, because these don't carry the detail that you'd want. These are perfect for if you want music in the background. If you are doing something in the house, let's say you're doing a few chores and you just want some music in and around you, this is perfect for that kind of situation. But having said that, it is better off with certain genres of music. So if you're into heavier music that has multiple things going on, say multiple layers of instruments or multiple vocals or choral music, if there's too much going on, I think that's too much of a load on the transducer. Whereas if you listen to elements like just guitar music or piano, if it's just a single instrument or if it's a single vocal, if there's not too much of a load on the transducer, it does much better in carrying over better detail. It seems to get a little confused when it's overloaded with a little more music. I think this effect is just in the way of how bone conducting technology works, because I think it still has a way to go. It is still trying to carry a lot of vibrations over to your inner ear, and end of the day it has to go through skin, it has to go through a certain amount of muscle, it has to get to the bone, which eventually carries over. So it's doing a lot of work, and considering what it's doing, it's pretty good at what it does. High frequencies are the cleanest frequency that is carried over to you. Instruments that sit in this range shine through well, but have a slight veil over them. You can tell that it's not delivered to you as clear as a dynamic driver would push this range out, but I was honestly expecting this not to be this detailed and clear, to be honest. Some vocals can be on the sibilant side here. They've elevated the upper mids leading into the highs for a little more detail, but it doesn't pierce the ear, thankfully. Listening to a great big worlds, you'll be okay. The cymbals and percussion that exist in this range come through with a sense of wanting to be clearer than what it does, but because this track has more instruments in it, there's more of a load on the drivers, making it sound a little confused. Mid frequencies is where this starts to taper off and tends to sound thin. Instruments and vocals here have more upper mid prominence than the lower mids. Female vocals push through with more excitement than male vocals, and more so when there aren't more instruments being played around them. These drivers seem to prefer more acoustic music. Vocals tend to sound more on the nasal side than anything else. Listening to Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello's Señorita, their vocals come through clearly enough, but they seem to sound as if they're recovering from a cold like me, which reinforces my opinion about these not being the best critical listening set of headphones. Low frequencies is what a lot of people will find disappointing, especially if you're looking for bass for workout motivation. This is a characteristic of bone conduction where low frequencies won't carry over to you very well. This range is almost non-existent when listening to EDM. You can hear an attempt of bass coming to you, but it's just that initial strike of a bass drum where the pedal hits the skin and that's where it ends. You won't really get any rumbles or much of a beat to groove to. The rhythm of the treble works like more of a beat than the bass with these. Listening to Dua Lipa's Be The One, the beats in the bass only come as a slight initial thump and nothing exists beyond that. But this is the general characteristic of bone conduction headphones. It's not built for bass, it's built for casual listening and for protecting your ears from a seal and loud listening over long periods of time. So to sum up, overall on a build front, I really like that it's got a matte finish because it just ages so much better and more gracefully than anything glossy. And overall, the overall feel of this, if you stretch it out and flex it, there's no sign of any creaking or any weakness in the overall build. So it should carry you for well over a year unless, of course, you drop it or break it somehow. On a feature front, it's not really bragging a lot, but I do like the fact that it's got tactile buttons because I personally have always preferred tactile buttons over touch controls because touch controls can get a little fiddly at times, whereas this is fairly straightforward and to the point. And whenever you click a button, you know exactly that it's responded. It's more interactive. It leaves you more connected with your music. So I do prefer the tactile buttons. Thanks to having Bluetooth 5.3, it is a fairly stable connection. In fact, I've not had any drop-offs with this over all the testing that I've done over the past few weeks. It is a fairly stable connection. In fact, there have been times where I've left my phone on my desk and gone a little further out, and even through a wall, it has maintained a stable connection. So I think having Bluetooth 5.3 is a big plus point with this, and also the overall gaming speed that this has of 90 milliseconds is fairly respectable. But I honestly don't see very many people using this for gaming because obviously for gaming you do want good staging. You also do want good bass response usually. So the staging this has isn't exactly as immersive as I'd say dynamic drivers are. So I wouldn't really recommend this for gaming all in all because with a set of dynamic drivers you can have a more personal stage. This seems a little pushed away towards your eyes, whereas when you're listening to a set of dynamic drivers you have your stage in and around this area, so you can place footsteps better while you're gaming. So although this might be fun for gaming if you're into car racing and so on, but then again it doesn't have the depth that I would prefer while gaming. On a sound front, it doesn't seem very impressive, but here's the thing, this set of headphones isn't made to do what a dynamic driver is doing. It's not catered to be even competition to a dynamic driver. It's a completely different technology. So the whole point of this is catered towards a person who doesn't want to have something around their ears or doesn't want to have something in their ears most of the time, because there are a lot of people who are doing this, and what a lot of people don't realize is the longer you have earphones in your ear and you've plugged your ear for so long, your inner ear isn't breathing. So this can lead to a lot of infections which can be caused due to bacteria. This is not safe in the long run. So if you are conscious about something like this, having an open set like this of bone conducting earphones is catered to somebody like you, because if you want to preserve your ears, you don't want any infections to kick up whenever you're using in-ear earphones, this is the perfect answer to that. Yes, there is a compromise because there isn't as much detail, there isn't as much depth, but I think it's perfect for calls. I've taken a few calls with this. I can hear the caller on the other side very clearly. They could hear me as well very clearly. And if you want to know how you'd sound to your recipient, you can jump on over to the call chapter where I have given a call demo if you have missed it. So overall, I think this is catered to a very different individual who's aware of their personal ear health. So it's not for the pomp, it's not for the flamboyant, it's not for the bass heavy. It is, let's say if you want to take a break, or even if you've used your dynamic earphones to enjoy a gaming session and you need to walk around the house and do some chores, bone conduction is the way to go, because you're giving your ear a break from being plugged up and you're letting it breathe. So on an overall health standpoint, I'd say this is a very good option to have. In fact, I think I'm going to be using these whenever I'm doing chores around the house instead of having headphones or earphones on. I'd say this is a perfect substitute for a set of earphones, especially if you do want to give your ears a break. Now, no doubt you're not going to get high-res audio from this, but having said that, the detail off of this is surprisingly good. In fact, when I first felt the pads that sit on your jaw, they're a bit rubbery, they're a bit soft to the touch, and the first thing I thought is, how is this thing going to be able to carry over vibrations over to your bones? So it does a surprisingly good job. So I'd say for what it is and what it does, it is very good value for money. So coming to the price about it, at the time of recording this video, it has a maximum retail price of $34.99, but it has a selling price of $24.99. And the folk at Lenovo family have been kind enough to send me a discount code, which I'll leave over here on the screen. You can get a 20% discount if you punch in this code, which will bring it further down to $19.99. So is this value for money? Well, I think it's a terrific set. So honestly, for $19.99, having something that can save you from visiting the doctor and dealing with the ear infection, I think it's a pretty good piece of tech that can look after your ear health all in all, and it's a terrific piece of equipment. And of course, I would recommend this because it does suit certain situations, and if you do want to try the technology, I think this is a terrific price to be able to pick up something like this. In fact, I thought bone conduction headphones were a lot more expensive, but I think this is an entry level set of headphones and it does pretty well for its price. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative, and if you would like to support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning into Paul's POV for some sound advice.